people of this planet, and welcome to another episode of D&D Stories. I hope you liked that intro because, well, the music part took a while to make, and by a while I mean about 2 weeks for my friend and I, who used to be in band. And that visual that you saw took like 30 minutes in like Microsoft Paint, fiddling around with the colors and stuff. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that because it took a good amount of time, and well, I guess I hope you enjoyed as much as I enjoyed making it. So, thank you to Martin and Juan. You guys were a really big help when it came to the intro and outro. Jesus Christ. I apologize. So, we last left off in the labyrinth because I do not really remember where we left off specifically. However, when listening to the recording for the next part, prior to recording this video, apparently we left off looking at a corridor. That sounds rather exciting, don't you all believe? Now, in case you've forgotten our cast of merry band goons, we have good old faux show Tex Lambert. We got Ben, Dexter, and like two other people. Oh, and here is the episode where I actually introduce about three new players that have joined us, but that'll be later on in the episode. So we last leave off in a corridor, and instantly we're all thinking something's not right about this corridor. It's just like I've mentioned this in the past. If you want to scare your players, just show them a hallway with nothing in it, and they'll be as paranoid can be. Like, it's probably one of the greatest things you can do as a DM in terms of fear, but one of the worst things that can happen to you as a player. I swear, it's a double standard, but I find it real funny. So, what Faux Show decides to do with his excellent human ingenuity is take his extendo staff and basically tap the floor with it. And what we discover is that these floors are like, the tiles fall if you put pressure on them. So think of like a pressure pad, but with a void beneath it, so that when you put pressure in it, you'll basically fall down and die. Pretty bad death. So, meaning that we need to not only figure out how far this corridor is and how far it goes and how many tiles there are, but then now we have to figure out what comes with, okay, if we fall, are we dead or do we go somewhere else? Well, who knows. Also, not only that, but just the amount of time we took for this. I think on the recording it said like about 15 to 20 minutes trying to figure out what we are going to do with this with this dilemma. And we had a good amount of ideas. The first idea was to just Naruto run the shit out of it with, low to the ground. Hopefully you run faster than the tiles can fall. Until one of us had the idea. I think it was Lambert that had the idea. Hey, why don't we faux show? Why don't you take your extendo staff and tap all of the tiles on the first row? So upon doing that, we discovered that the tile on the very left hand side did not fall all the way through. So about half of it, and apparently as Mari described it, he tapped it again and it was like solid ground, I think, if I remember correctly, and it was like, okay, so that means we could have had some solid ground to work with. However, he did not explain how big or how small it was. Of course, we didn't ask, but still, at least mentioned it. But oh well, it's in the past now. And with that, more ideas started flooding us. Until we finally came to the conclusion about 20 minutes later that our paladin Lyson should use the spell Find Steed. Now, if you're a primordial insect who does not know who Find Steed is, or what Find Steed is, my apologies. Ironic. Um, Find Steed is a spell that paladins get at level 2 that allow them to conjure up a, if I remember correctly, like a horse, a pony, a mastiff, and something else. And anything else, really, that the DM allows. And what our paladin decides to conjure up is a giant flying eagle. As our DM later described it, it's basically the flying eagle monsters from Lord of the Rings. They're like basically like that. There's no other similarities you can make it to other than imagining it yourself. And with that, you have um an idea that we can take. However, the only problem is that we didn't know how far it would be. So what our paladin Lysol decides to do is send the eagle, in which it can talk to it telepathically, and have it communicate with it up until the until it reaches like the end, so to say. Now, I'll probably be real honest with you. That tile thing probably only lasted like 5 tiles walking forward. This eagle flew for like an hour, and the eagle, like, all like when I was communicating, it's like, I see floor, 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 I see floor. Okay, 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 okay. For like an hour in game, and it's not like there's a left turn. Oh, finally, Jesus Christ! Now send it back. Oh look, it's gonna take another hour. Son of a, whatever. I'm not gonna say that. Let's not let's not curse. This will be the family friendly episode. Oh, it won't be. Trust me. Sorry, drinking a little bit of water. And what ends up going down is we reach another somewhat dilemma. How many people can get on this eagle? Now, unlike the actual problem itself, we were able to just say, okay, 2 at a time. However, Lysol always had to be on that eagle. Don't remember why, though, but that was what ended up happening. So, I was the first passenger, and when we finally got to the other side, I had basically rested. I pulled out, well, no, I didn't even pull out like a bedroll. I freaking meditated, which for a Witcher basically like passes time. So, what felt like a minute was actually like 3-4 hours in game, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that it took a good amount of time. And with all of us finally being tired, well, we don't even decide to like rest. Now, note, it has been about, according to our DM, 10 hours since we first entered the labyrinth. In those 10 hours, not that much has happened until later on the next session, which I will be talking about in this episode, to make up for our short episode, last episode, yes, episode. And what went down was, we looked down the corridor, oh look, oh, something super exciting, nothing, oh. We walk forward, and then, well, I'm the one leading the group. What goes down is, in my perspective, in Lambert's perspective, he goes through a wall, but in his perspective, he's still walking in a basic corridor. So it's basically like an illusion, more or less. Of course, what like magical spell that would be, I'm not entirely sure, so I'm sorry for the 12 people that watch this. And what Faux Show decides to do is get his extendo stick and poke me repeatedly in like the back, and then I turn around and then he starts poking me in the face in a comedic fashion. So I'm like, damn it! Oh no, there goes family friendly. So I basically whip his stick away and I walk back and I turn around. And I'm like, where the hell did everyone go? Huh? And I walk back and then I see everyone. I'm like, where'd you all go? Like what? And they tell me it's like, cause you disappeared. I'm like, well, damn. I mean, let's keep going. It's like the only way to go, freaking fool. Unless you want to freaking trek back, God knows how many hours, aka 1 hour. But continuing forward, we have so what the plan was is Faux Show and I decided to finally start marking some walls to make sure that we don't go in a circle. And Tex over there decided, well, told us if we take one more left, we go in a circle. And then that brought up an argument. Well, if it's a magical maze, is it really a circle? Do the walls shift? Are they actually the same? Like, who knows? I don't know. And what ended up, going down is, after I think it's like a few feet or maybe like a few minutes of walking, we actually encounter a door. Now, don't think about a door that we saw on like you'd see in like a wall. We saw a door just in the middle of a hallway, and that really brought up some red alarms because that happening just a door, like I don't even remember if there was a door frame or not. It was just a door. So after a lot of arguing, we decide. One of our players decides, I'm going to knock. I'm going to knock on the door. So think of it like this, right? So it was like, so knocking like that, and then it's literally the same thing on the other side. I don't know if I knocked the same way. I'm sorry. Continuity errors. And that raised up a lot of alarms, basically telling us that whatever's on the what Faux Show had thought was that it's our mirror images just in a different like reality. Like they're a few seconds behind us. And in their perspective, at least for me, what I began to think was they're like facing the same dilemma except the door knocked first. So what I decided to do was not be a freaking pussy and open the door. And damn, am I gonna be a pussy from now on when freaking when it comes to doors that have no door frame or like are not on a wall. Since we, as soon as I open the door just flings open, and I tried to roll strength. And I rolled like I think it was like a 5 or something. So I legit just go flying, probably like 5 to 6 feet, woo, ooh. And with that, like literally the entire party is just, okay, let's all like bum rush the door. And I don't really remember like if it was like some tentacle monster, all that freaking, yeah, let's not get into that realm. All these things that just started coming out, like I think it was like a bunch of arms or something, and it's like, oh no, that is not good. If this thing gets out, we need to close the door. But the XP, shut up. I want to live. And it's so we all, well, they all ended up rolling strength. So you have Lysol, not Dex. Well, Dexter's character probably did, but his player was not there. Dexter, Lyson, my bad. Faux Show and Tex, all trying to close the door, and thankfully they do. We didn't get ourselves killed because of our idiocy, or my idiocy, I guess. But I mean, it's just a door. And as soon as they close it, well, actually, no, before we were able to close it, that little crank, because it's pushing us and we're pushing it. So I basically take, like, my silver sword and I start poking at it. Back! Be gone! And I pull out, like, not a spell, and it's not even a cantrip either, a sign, there you go. Igni, so I basically, like, it roasted it, whatever was sticking out, as Mario described it, it's like... Oh, good. I'm dying. Call an ambulance. I'm never doing that again. Jesus Christ, hold on. I need to drink some water. Oh, no. Okay. Let's not do that again. So it screeches out in a manner that is probably unimaginable and way better than what I did, because Jesus Christ, that was terrible. And we're finally able to close the door. Yay. Pat on the back. So, moving on, we decide to, if we ever encounter another door, we are never opening it again. Or at least a door that does that until later in the campaign. So you'll find out. Don't trust me. And what goes on was we find ourselves in a small corridor moving forward, and as I can't remember if it was left or right, but it was one direction, not the band, and then it was no other direction. So let's say it was right. It was forward, then there was a wall, and we had to go right. Then I decided to be stupid, and I'm like, I'm gonna go left. So you're gonna go left, you're gonna hit a wall, you noob. You're gonna hit the wall, then it's gonna like absorb you, as if we've seen in the past. However, that was not the actual case. What ended up happening was we, Lambert, got, oh god, went through the wall, and it's basically Zelda, Zelda, you know, oh god, I'm so sorry. And you know, it's basically Zelda. You know, when you find a secret, you know, do 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 do. And we were like, and I was like, oh shit, son. What did I find? What do I see? Am I dead? Hold on a minute. And he tells me, you see like a bonfire. I'm like, oh, Dark Souls. Hold on. And I poke my head out. I'm like, hey guys, come on, get in. The freaking water's fine. Oh wait, there is no water. Bonfire's fine. It's a safe zone. And you know, our alchemist, scientist, vampire man was like, no, stop. You'll respawn all the creatures. Shut up. And what we decided to do after that was rest. That was actually the end of that session, because the last episode I didn't talk about everything. But we ended up having a session in school when we had, I believe it was a free day. And I did not record that one, but I remember it quite well. It was basically a way to introduce two new characters, but players that have played the game with us in the past. And these two new characters were Dennis, yes, that's his name, and his name in real life, so welcome, Dennis. I know you watch my videos, thank you. And Juan, who's playing the Ranger, Tuto the Puto. Also, Dennis is playing a fighter who I believe converted to a ranger, but that'll be another episode for another time. He did his own quest, and I'll talk about that later. And what goes on is what went on was I had decided to check outside to see what was going on while everyone else was asleep. And to the right, back where we were coming from, I had noticed that there was combat going on between what looked like two groups. Now, the two groups, however, were two people, and it was like an unfair fight. It was two people against four. And they all looked human, to my knowledge, except for Tuto, who was an elf. Now, in terms of elven kind and how long it goes, I really don't care about that kind of stuff. At least my character doesn't. Lambert, he'll try to help in any way. And knowing the rules of the labyrinth is more or less every man for themselves. But story arc reasons, let them live, right? So, cough, cough. Let them live, cough. And that's basically what happened, right? So we ended up getting, well, I ended up getting, what was his face? I think it was just Richard, who was Buzzlebub, the vampire alchemist who likes to play God, who then later made another character called Wet Boy. I don't know his name though. So we decided to get the drop on these type of enemies, on the ones that were being attacked unfairly. And what goes on is, you know, the clashing of swords and knives, and your armor saved you, your armor protected you, you were able to parry that attack. Oh, you've been hit 3 damage, then I get hit 12 damage. Oh, that's not fair, asshole. I'm gonna drink some water. Those coughings took a lot on me. So combat ended up ensuing. Roll initiative. Yeah, sure. Thanks. Freaking flip the bird on him. And we end up with the problem that okay, there's 4v4. These guys shouldn't be too strong because our new players start off at level 3. So it shouldn't be that bad, shouldn't be too good, too easy, too hard, or anything like that. Simple as simple can be, more or less. Then we come to the problem. I'm sorry if I keep coughing, like, really, I truly am. Then we get on to the problem that, okay, so one of these new characters is getting the living crap kicked out of him, and the other one is more or less doing fine. And the difference between them two was uh, Tuto was getting beat up, and freaking Dennis was doing perfectly fine. So after we had finally killed Dennis's assailants, we I moved behind the only one left while the other one was burning on the floor. Yeah, a little time skip. I'm not gonna talk about that because well, what Buzzlebub decided to do was burn him while he was like impaled onto the floor. Jesus. And what ends up happening, and I thought this was really like freaky, spooky, is that Mario, our DM, never told me that told me that I never really rolled perception to see if these things were like even human. They just looked human. So I had the assumption, okay, get up behind it, snap its neck, be done with it. It's not focused on me. It's simple, right? Walk up behind it. I roll strength. I think I rolled like a 19. Simple, right? Well, I break its neck, full 180, and it's looking at me, and it says, "Hello there." Su. Oh hell no! Hold on a minute. Hold on. Telling me that this thing is still alive and not dead after I just like twisted its neck 180. So then I have to roll. Hold on, wait, I have to wait until my next turn. Roll strength again to go a full 360, and it's still alive. So I'm like, oh my god, how the hell do I get rid of this thing? It just survived getting its neck broken. Ooh, I have an idea. Decapitation. Thankfully that worked. However, it took only like 2 tries. Thankfully, extra attack is a thing. But not before, Tuto got himself effed up. And then I got into character. I pulled out my sword on Tuto and I said, "Hello there." That's not what I said. I was like, "Put down your weapon." And I rolled intimidation and I basically like made him piss himself with like a 19. Not that bad, but you know what I mean. And what went down was Dennis is trying to like loot like the bodies while I'm trying to like arrest his like teammate. And blah blah. I asked, hey, how did you two like end up here together? Well, I'm here to like find someone. It's like, that doesn't work. Shut up. Hold on. All right. There's a cash prize. Okay, I'm here to get money to support my family. Okay. What about you, Dennis? I heard there was money, so I joined. Well, that's a reason. I guess. And we have them join our party, but they're strangers. Shut up. Story, sort of. And in that same session, we ended up exploring a little bit until we find a hallway that has 4 doors, 2 on each side, left and right. 3 of them are marked with no. 1 of them was marked with yes. The first one we went to was marked with yes, and if you couldn't guess, from the other side, oh hell no, I ain't opening that shit. So we didn't open it. Not yet, at least. And what goes down is we basically go through these trial of no doors. I'm so sorry. These trial of no doors. And they all had some really interesting items. And had, like, basically, like, wondrous items Now, I'm not gonna go through two of them in detail because they were rather like filler. And what goes down is we have a whatchamacallit. We have a door, and in that door, like you go inside, there's a watch, like a little stopwatch that you carry in your pocket, and you press that little button on top, and it will like open. And the way the Mario, I pick it up and open it, and it counting down from like 12 minutes. Every time I opened it, time would stop. But you see, I would have kept it. And plus, I only really wanted like the clock, the watch. But you see, the way that Mario worded it was, I close it, time continues. Now, no, it stopped at like about the 11-minute mark. And what he said was, I open it and time stops, but it's as if it had continued going. So I'm like, okay, it's a timer. I want to wait out until the timer like waits out. He says like the clock disappeared and like time resumes. I'm like, what? That was a useless item. I understand freaking time stoppage, but hello, giving your players a thing that can stop time. Oh yeah, a big bad boss comes out. Yeah, freaking, it's going to wreck your shit. Time stop. I slit its throat. We're done. I get all the XP and loot. Yeah, good idea. Also, the next door had a like white sphere in the center of it. And Tuto tries to take one of his arrows and poke it. Or no, maybe he fired it. I can't necessarily remember. But he did something where an arrow had made contact with the sphere. And as our DM described it, he said that it dissolved like the watch. And I'm like, why does this sound so familiar? And then he tells us the thing, it expands like double its size. The Phoenix Egg! But of course, that might be another episode for another time. And what we end up having is whatchamacallit. I mean, we didn't even like open the door because it was locked, and we kept on failing like our strength checks and our like lock picking checks. So we had our alchemist like deconstruct the door, and then it's like, it's expanding. Oh my god! I closed the door. You can't close it because there is no door. I reconstruct it. Okay, you reconstruct it. I close the door. It has no lock. I just leave it closed and hope that nothing bad happens. And on the last door, no, on the third door, on the third no door, we have an interesting problem where Tuto had gone in, but not before I, not before I put rope around him. And he goes in and he instantly falls. However, he's only floating. He's only floating down. And it isn't until halfway, like maybe about 25 feet going down, he, like, his weight doubles, and I have to make the strength saving throw check thingy, and like to make sure I don't fall in like a fool. And the rope goes like all the way down, and on the bottom you can see lava and a chest. But of course he's on the other side of the chest of the room, so he's got to get more rope to get down because he's still like about 20 feet up, unless he wants to try to make a landing and take, a d6 of damage. And we decide to get basically, most of our characters have rope, so I got another 50 foot of rope, tied it up on the end, and then like lowered him down, in which he got, he made the trial across the treacherous lava. Freaking, I swear to God, barely makes a character, then dies like first session. And he makes it across, and of course, like a noob, he didn't check it for traps. Now we'll regret this later. So what goes down is he puts it in like, well, I mean, I guess he like carried it or something. I didn't even, apparently he had like a bag of holding somehow, or I'm not entirely sure, but like somehow. And what went down is Um, I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, we got the chest. It was like 200 pounds. Apparently, he did something that made it weightless. Don't know how. We get back to the bonfire lit Dark Souls safe room, and we decide to open it. Duto decides to open it, but only to the surprise that, oh look, it's a mimic, but you didn't check it like an idiot, and I didn't bother to check it either, really. So it doesn't like instantly swallow him, thank Jesus, but it does almost pull him in, and we're basically all Caesar salading it, if that's even like a way to say it, to just give it no chance at like trying to like attack us. Just destroy it, do something. And what what goes down, other than some XP, I'm still pending some XP. Actually, I need to write that down. We have oh God, I'm so sorry. Assuming you're still watching this video, friggin', I'm probably wasting my time. But after some XP rolls out, that is actually where we ended that session, and the next session started when we ended up in the second part of the labyrinth, and we finally go through that yes door. And the way I did it was I open it and I dive to the right so I don't fly away when it flings across. And oh, look at that, it flings across, however nothing comes out. So what our group decides to do is go inside, and we see like this big like wall screen thing, and it's like, congratulations, you've reached level 2. And we get like teleported to like a coliseum that's like vacant because no one's here. And it goes on to show that I'm the first one to like be attacked in like this trial, and the others are in like the stands in which they can't like interfere in any way. Like, I'm not kidding, Mario actually like didn't give us a single chance. I'm sorry, I accidentally touched the mic. And what what we what I ended up doing was I ended up fighting. It's a coliseum. It's either you live or die, or you win by submission. If you die, well, you're dead. If you submit, you go back to the beginning. It's like, well, I better not submit. And my character, my Witcher character, Lambert, who's a level 7 Witcher, has some really good abilities and stats. 96 health, really balanced stats. All the good stuff, right? And then I come across my equal, basically, who's a dragonborn, like, rapier wielding, like, magician man, who's a dragonborn. I don't know if I mentioned that already. Yes, I did. Who I have to fight, who's also level 7, conveniently. However, he does not have normal weaponry as I do. I have a sword, a silver sword, which I had used, and he told me, he's like, oh, it's a creature, it's like a humanoid. Your like silver and witcher abilities won't work. It's like, Mario, we discussed this. It's a bestial creature because it's like a dragon. Whether or not you want to like argue me on that, I am willing to, more or less, but I don't think I'll like respond so quickly because I probably won't. And what goes down is I almost get killed, like in like simplicity. This is basic. Like, my rolls were terrible. Okay, he has this glowing rapier sword that had like a +8, no, a +11 to attack roll, and then a +8 to damage. So it's like, oh my god, this guy is wrecking my asshole. So, it's basically, Shah! 12 damage. Shah! 20 damage. Shah! 22 damage. Oh my god. I'm getting killed here. Then here and he's rolling like 25, 26, 17, 17, 18. And I'm here like rolling 5, 2, 7, 16. Oh, hit. 2 damage. Oh. And His biggest mistake actually was actually moving back and casting magic missile, because that was the first time I was able to use my ability Swift of the Arm, which if targeted by any form of ranged attack, I can reduce the damage to 0 by using some, dice rolls. And with that, I could potentially reduce the damage to 0, which thankfully it did. Whew. And that was his biggest mistake, putting some distance between us. Because what ended up happening was I had bombs that our DM did not really, uh, whatchamacallit, put in a factor when it came. Because I guess he might have forgotten that I actually had the ability to make some bombs. And two of those bombs that I was able to make was Grape Shot and Dimeridium. Now they're actual bombs that come from the games and potentially the books. I'm not entirely sure. I've only read so much of the books. And what goes down is I basically throw Grape Shot at him, deal 2d10s of damage plus shrapnel damage, and of course I was far enough away. I made sure because we had like little a chessboard with like the pawns, and I was like far enough, and the shrapnel doesn't hit me. Woo. And then I throw a Dimeridium bomb, which did 3d8s plus a d, like an extra d, like 6 if you're like a bestial creature. And then the silver gas that surrounds you prevents you from casting spells for 1d4 turns. So with that, I also, I did a good number on him actually. Finally, I got some rolls above 20 when it came to damage. And with that, I end up achieving great success and you know lower him down to the point where he just bum rushes me. And I asked the DM, "Can I take reaction to that?" No. Excuse me? Really? Like, no. You're just gonna tell me no? All right. Well, screw you then. I'll be sure to remember that when I'm DMing. That story will come soon. And what happens is he basically he attacks me with his rapier sword, did like 11 damage. Now I'm down to 36 health, and I decided to cheese it a little bit. So I finally managed to hit him with my sword again, did like 8 damage. But as a bonus action, I casted Quen. Now what Quen does, it basically, if he hits me, the next time he hits me, reduces all damage to 0. And what that ended up doing was it saved me, because the next time he attacked, he actually hit me. And I attack him, and then I cast Axie on him. Now, what Axie does is it stuns him if he fails the saving throw, the Wisdom saving throw. And he rolled like a freaking like what 8, and he needed like a 15, so he failed quite badly. And so basically it's like, so are you going to attack him? No, I'm going to disarm him and then slit his throat. So I cheesed it of like 25 health maybe. So like, yeah, he's dead. And so that was the end of my battle. And up next went Ben and some freaking random asshole that Mario made on his phone rather quickly. And I'm literally just going to sum it up in like, hold on. In like 3 words, however, technically one is a letter. Mario is a pussy. Ben is like, okay, this is literally all that Ben did. Alright, he goes up to you. I throw sand at him. What? I try to stealth behind him. He's staring at you. Your sand didn't work. I throw more sand at him. And he's getting like his butt kicked. Okay, I swear, he didn't hit him once for like a good like 7 turns. I don't know how he was still alive. But in the end, Ben was triumphant. I think he like cut off an arm or two. And that's actually when I had to leave. Now, from what I had heard, the guys had gotten pizza to like, enjoy for themselves. And what ended up happening was our DM decided to take a break, so the other Mario decided to take control. Now, note, the first time that this Mario had ever DM'd, we basically shot him down. Because it was so bad. It was terrible what he did. I hope he's not watching. He's not even subscribed. It doesn't matter. And what what I've heard is that, okay, so in this arena, there's this guy. There's three. It's gonna be a 3v3 to speed things up, right? So like, our good friend Dennis says, okay, I'm gonna get some sand and throw it at him. Oh, you can't. Why not? The floor's a void now. What? How does that make any sense? And I heard that it was like really stupid. And this guy, what he does is he makes like three characters, and like one of them like drank something that made him so smart he died. The other one killed himself. The other one became self-aware and then died. And it's like, uh, what? I don't get it. So that's what happened. Like, the one, actually no, one of them got one shot. The other one like, became so smart, and the other one like just killed himself. And it's like, what the hell, Mario? So yeah, we're probably not gonna have him DM again for another long while. But that just about wraps up this D&D episode. I truly hope you did enjoy this episode as much as I enjoyed making it. And I wish to see you on the next episode of D&D